So the next thing we're going to talk about is calculations with vasoconstrictors. So there is another chart that you need to memorize, but this is a really easy one. And this is going to be our maximum dose and for a healthy person and for someone with ischemic heart disease. Okay, so for 1 to 50,000 epinephrine, the maximum dose is 0.2 milligrams. For someone with heart disease, it's 0.04 milligrams. If we use 1 to 100,000, the maximum dose is still 0.2 milligrams of the drug, and for heart, 0.04. And for any of the epi, that's just what it's going to be, 0.2, 0.04. And then if we're using levonorepinephrine, which usually comes in a 1 to 20,000 concentration, our maximum for a healthy patient is 1 milligram, and for someone with ischemic heart disease, it's 0.2. So to help you memorize this, I want you to just kind of notice that in each of these cases, the healthy amount, the heart disease amount is 20% of healthy. So if we take 20% of 0.2, we end up with 0.04. And same thing for the levonorepinephrine. If we take the 1 milligram that we give to a healthy patient and times it by 20%, we get 0.2 milligrams. So knowing that, if you just memorize healthy and you know that heart disease is 20% of that, then you can figure out what the heart disease amount is without having to memorize yet another table. So the next question we need to know then is how much epi is in a carp. So let's start with our most common one, which would be 1 to 100,000 epi. There is a way you can calculate this, but I think the easiest thing to do again is to look at the chart. So let's take a look at our most standard, which again are 1 to 50, 1 to 100,000, and 1 to 200,000, and those are K's for 1,000. And then let's take a look at how many milligrams are in a carp for each of those. And for 1 to 50, it's 0.036 milligrams. When we double it, which is actually halving it really in terms of concentration, but let's just, for ease of this, say that we're doubling this number. We're going to half this number. So we now have 0.018, which is half of this one. We're going to double 100 to 200, and we're going to half this again. So if you remember that as these go up by 2 times, these kind of go the opposite way. So we're going in halves here. So there's that inverse relationship, and hopefully that makes sense. That is, these go up, these get smaller, and it's by halves on this side and doubles on this side. So let's take a look at how much then is in one carp. We have 1 to 100,000 as our concentration, so there's 1.018 milligrams of epi in a 1.8 milliliter, in a 1.8 milliliter carp. So now we want to know how much can a healthy person have in terms of carpules. So we know that no matter what the concentration, 0.2 milligrams of epi is our upper dose. So 2 milligrams, in order to find out how many carps, we need to divide it by how much is in a single carp. And when we divide that out, we're going to get something like 11.1111. But for making it simple, we're just going to say 11 carps. So a healthy person, the upper limit is 11 carps. And if you're watching this and you went to school a number of years ago, note that it used to be 8, and that has now increased to 11. Let's take a look at how many carps a person can have if they weigh 100 pounds. So we figured out that 11 carps is what we can have in terms of the epi. So now let's look at the second factor, which is how much lidocaine they can have in a single day. And from previous videos, we know that 2.0 milligrams per pound times our weight, and this is for lido only, is 200 milligrams. And if we divide that by the 36 milligrams that are in a single carp, we end up with 5.5 carps. And so now what we need to do is compare. We're limited to 11 carps in terms of epinephrine, but we're limited to 5.5 carps by the lido. So we want to take the smaller number, and that is going to be the maximum dose that this 100-pound person can have of lidocaine 2% with 1 to 100,000 epi.